There we go. I'll get it right one of these days. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you all showing up on a Saturday evening. Let me get everybody in here. Tonight we have Sean with us here. Let's see here. Click there.
Good evening, everyone.
We have Paul coming in here. There's Paul.
Evening, everyone.
And then we have our special guest, Bethany.
Hey, guys. Everyone.
Appreciate it. It's been an interesting week. I finally got back on Facebook. So Bethany, I was not locked off of Facebook intentionally. I did not say anything I shouldn't have, but evidently somebody decided to take over my account for like a week and a half, and I couldn't get back into it. It was ridiculous. The whole Facebook send an image or send like your ID copy of your ID in, and they'll let you back into it. It doesn't work. I did it like 10, 11 times over a 7-day period, and it was just horrible. So, but we are getting back on there now.
This
so.
is not fun.
Yeah, whatever. Let's see here. We got it. Oh, where's this stuff at? Let's see here. Before we get talking with Bethany here, let's just check in with everybody. Mr. Sean, you got anything new going on this week?
Yes, sir. Pretty much basically the same, just redesigning all my modules. So it's been kind of a so busy week.
Yeah.
Making sure everything works smooth.
What kind of a redesign are you doing, or is it like?
Oh, it's in the foot of it's in the foot of the module. Instead of a slide-in plate, it's a lock-in plate, so it locks itself, and the corner is better, so it's a tighter corner.
Gotcha. Okay. So Bethany, Sean has been making these scale train track modules to sell and cutting them on his laser and stuff like that. It's they're pretty cool. There's this one he's been making for bridges.
That's my bridge module, and this is the part that I've been working on, are the feet. And with this module, you can see they lock in. So
cool.
Yeah, it's a fun project. It's a great hobby.
Good stuff. Mr. Paul, how about you, buddy? You got anything new, good stuff going on?
Hey, I finally finished the planter box. And
Yes, you did.
I sent you a picture of it because I don't have a picture of it on this computer. But
yeah. Well, I have it on here, and we'll look at it in a little bit here.
Okay.
Because I finally got Wade's pictures saved on here as well, because they were in my my Facebook account and all that good stuff. So let's see here. There we go. I wanted to do this here as we start talking to Bethany here. There we go. So Bethany, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you say, I'm an SVG designer. I started, back in 2012, I got a silhouette vinyl cutter, and I started just making stuff, selling it on Etsy, and it just really took off a little bit. And so I said, okay, this is something, it was the typical, like, I'm a stay-at-home mom trying to have extra money coming in because we were really trying to buy property and, wanted to be more financially independent. Just life takes you down a certain path, right? And I, for years, was selling things that I did with sublimation and things like that on Etsy. And then a divorce happened and I had to go back to work. And it was during that time that my mom was like, Bethany, you really need to just sell your designs. And I was like, because I was getting burned out of working full time and being a single parent to 3 little kids, and also trying to keep this side business going. It was just too much. And she was like, it's kind of passive, you don't have to make anything when somebody orders stuff. I was like, well, I'm not really good enough, but maybe I can do some simple stuff. And I did. And then a month later, I was laid off from my job.
Oof.
And And I was like, okay, Bethany, this is your opportunity. And I took the next 3 months of my time on unemployment because I lived in a really rural area. There's like no good jobs that I was qualified for, because I have a lot of business and marketing qualifications, but it was just such a small area that you just couldn't find anything. And within about 3 months, I had replaced my income
Nice.
for my job. And it just
That's sweet.
blew up. And I really kind of focused on more of like a vintage, classy style. I found that at the time, a lot of the designs that were on the market for silhouette and cricket, which was kind of where my focus was, they're kind of cutesy and not really my style. I'm really more of I like elegant, clean lines, with a vintage aspect to it too, but I don't really like the bouncy, cute stuff as much. And so that was just kind of where my focus went. And, I started my own website and started a mailing list, and things just blew up. And I had been doing that for the last almost 6 years. And then last year I decided, well, I didn't decide it last year. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but I moved 2,000 miles from Washington State to Missouri. And I had a lot of things to do to get my house finished because I actually, in that time, also built my own house. And that was one of the biggest parts of my stress was I built the house myself. Like I was in there doing the drywall, doing all these things. We were living in it. It was a very, very small house. We started off grid. It was basically just walls and a wood stove when we moved in. I was hauling my water and heating up on a wood stove and doing all that stuff, which I loved. I love that kind of stuff. It was a bit much for me to handle all by myself. 3 little kids.
Such a dichotomy from doing all the digital stuff and then like living off grid.
It was, and I was using my phone as a hotspot to be able to work. And then I would go into town also and go work from the library to do my work while my kids were at school.
Nice.
And or I would go to my neighbor's house a lot too. And so I found ways to work. But it really is. I'm kind of a dichotomy that way because I love a lot of the technological stuff that we have. But I'm also very much in love with the off-grid kind of lifestyle and, being free from all the entrapments, so it's just kind of funny. But so I got to where I was going to move. And so I had to spend a good 6 months finishing my house and getting the property cleaned up and ready and doing all these things. And, we had built an addition and there was a lot of stuff. And so for every day I was just working on things, and I was taking mostly a backseat in my business, kind of letting it go on autopilot. I have a great VA who helps me keep things going. And then when we moved and we got settled in the house, I started working again, and my health just started to plummet. And I hadn't noticed, but I had started to feel so much better physically when I was getting my house ready for sale. And so talking to my doctor, I realized, and I have some, health conditions that are the cause of this, but I really cannot be doing something where I'm sitting all day. Sitting all day and then trying to exercise to make up for it just is not going to work for me. And so I decided, it took me a long time to make that decision because this has been such a big part of me for years. Yeah. And I've built this big thing, and it is huge, it's a pretty decent sized business. And, but I decided it was time to kind of let that go and move into another kind of a lifelong dream of mine has been actually to start a bakery. And so that's what I'm doing here locally in my town. We're starting out at the farmer's market, but I'm hoping next year to have like a permanent facility. I'm going to be building a commercial kitchen in my garage. But in the meantime, I have to kind of step back. And so right now, what I was like, okay, I'm going to bundle everything that I've ever made together and sell it at a super low price so that everybody can get this chance to get everything before I go. And then I do also I'm going to, still have some of my designs on Etsy, and I have somebody who's going to be selling my designs on her website as well. And I might end up having a few more people. I thought instead of selling the business, because I may have the opportunity maybe to pick it up again someday. Or maybe one of my kids would want to, or, you just never know. And I felt like I would much rather kind of keep that So basically, yeah, right now I'm just like having this huge, massive sale, and it's like over 1,000 designs, and it's not even really just over 1,000 designs because a lot of them are like sets of like a whole bunch of designs,
Oh
like
yeah.
markers or like different wedding things, like wedding sayings or bridesmaid, groomsman, ring bearer, things like that. And so it's a lot, and so that's where I'm at today, where I'm just like I bundled it. We just started the sale a couple days ago. It's been going really well. And it's pretty cool. I'm finding that a lot of the people on my mailing list, they're like, we just want to follow with you along to the bakery. And I'm like, okay, I need to
Well,
figure out how
fans
to
of you've amassed a massive mailing list.
I do. I actually, at one point, it was over 55,000 people.
Wow.
And it has pared down. There was some issues with my deliverability and stuff like that. So I had to do some big cuts. And now it's about 25,000. But the thing about my mailing list, and this is a business marketing thing. I have always written to my mailing list. I don't do a bunch of fancy formatting. Like, I don't do lots of it. I just send emails as if I'm sending them to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I am. And, but I've had so many people, I even had people tell me, I don't even really like your designs. You're not my style, but I love your emails. So I'm on your list. And I was like, that is the coolest thing. I actually was like, that is actually one of the coolest things anybody's ever said to me. Because that's a huge compliment. And then it's funny, this morning I did a market, and I have been just literally having people write their names down on a paper to get on my mailing list. And this one lady came in and she's like, well, I got your first email the other day. Boy, you just kept me riveted. It's so fun to read your email. And I'm like, oh, wow, thanks. So it translates, which is great. But yeah, it's been a really big business, and a lot of people have been just very, very engaged. A lot of people, it feels like it's a friendship and a relational thing, which is one of the reasons why it's kind of hard for me to completely let go.
Right.
Where I want people to follow along with me because I know them. There's people that have been with me since 2017 when I started selling SVGs, and it's just, I don't know. I like having that relational aspect, and so I am hoping that I can figure out a good way to streamline it and take people with me. And I've had some people suggest that I just start writing somewhere too, where people can follow along with what I'm doing. So I'm not really sure when I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm just like, I got to get Board and Batten wrapped up. I got to get the SVGs wrapped up. And then from there, I'll just kind of decide where am I going to go from here as far as the bakery, and I've also dabbled with teaching other people how to do digital stuff too, which is, I would love to do it, but it's just, I don't have tons of time.
Yeah. You've done a couple of the classes though. You did,
Mm-hmm.
You recently did the pricing class,
Mm-hmm.
on like on how to price your SVTs and stuff like that. Right. And what are you going to, is that still available for anybody to download, or is it?
It is. Yeah, the class is called Price Your Products for Profits, and it is available on my website, shop.boardbattendesign.com. And it's, I believe it's $17 if I remember right. I'll have to check. But yeah, it was like a 1-hour video class with a Q&A at the end where I go through my whole process, because I have had numerous businesses before this that were pretty successful for the amount of time I was able to put into them. And one of the biggest questions I would get all the time from people is, I just don't know how to price my products. And as crafters and makers and things like that, we tend to undervalue ourselves a lot. And so I just basically was like, okay, let's do this. Let's do a class. We'll just do it one time, and then anybody can buy the recording. I'll just take you through my whole process, start to finish, of exactly how I determine my pricing, so that it's both fair for the customer, but profitable for me, or you, as it were. Thank you, Raymond. And so, yeah, I had that class. I've also taught things like, I've taught a craft cutting business, like other aspects of it as well. I've taught classes on email marketing. let me think. I think there was on how to kind of put together a basic website. Not like a fancy e-commerce one, but just kind of a basic one to have a home. I think one mistake people have is not having a home on the internet for their business, and say, oh, well, I'm on Etsy. Well, Etsy is not really your business, and Etsy could take over your business, and they've done that to me in the past. Where they've changed an algorithm, and suddenly I'm not making any money at all.
Yeah.
And
So you started out more on Etsy though, and then you moved to your website. What made you go from make that full jump? Because I don't think you had anything. You completely removed everything from Etsy, isn't it?
No,
right?
I still have about half of my designs on Etsy, and they bring in some money every week. It's not a lot, and I haven't really kept up with Etsy. I'm gonna have to kind of take a class or have my VA take a class or something on how to SEO for Etsy. But basically, my philosophy is this. Well, actually, let's go back. So right after, one of the reasons why I ended up having to get a job after my divorce was because I had a business where I was selling sublimated stuff and vinyl things and stuff like that. And it was doing really well, and I would have been fine. And then Etsy made a big algorithm change. And within like 6 months, I went from about $4,000 a month to $750.
Oh.
And that was consistent. It just kept declining. And the problem was because also I was off grid, and a lot of things like sometimes it would take me an hour just to get enough internet to print my shipping labels. It was very, very clunky, and it just was not good. And so that was like I had my own personal limitations where I wasn't really able to research. Anyway, long story short, that algorithm change screwed up my business. I had not done a mailing list. I had not done any of that stuff. So I hadn't done anything to insulate my business from algorithm changes or anything like that. Because the thing is Etsy's priority is their profits. It's not my profits.
Yep.
And so when I started Board and Batten, I feel like Etsy is a great business incubator. There's a lot of traffic, and you can go in there and you can put your stuff up. You got to figure out, you got to learn how to do Etsy right. You have to learn how to SEO so you get found and things like that. You got to optimize your listings, and but ultimately, if you get to the point where it's too much, where you're paying too much of fees in Etsy, if you're generating your own traffic, it's best to point that to your own website. So that's what I'm a big fan of starting at Etsy, but then as soon as you have enough traffic going in, then you have your own website.
Nice. Yeah, I think I was thinking April Wilkerson. She is a big woodworker and maker, and she just started up a Etsy store to just see what she could do with it, like just from starting from ground zero. And following that's been pretty interesting, like using the Etsy ads and stuff like that, and then whatever else. So that's been pretty wild. But I know I've been following you for quite a while now. I don't even remember how long it's been, but it's been several years that I've been getting on your site. Everybody on here, because we do a lot. There's CNC stuff, the lasers and the crickets and all that other stuff. And so our buddy Dave, he does a Gatten CNC Christmas challenge every year. So you got to make something and make a video on it. And so the one of my failed projects, because that's what happens, my projects usually fail. But it was the I Believe in Christmas. I don't know if it'll go. There it goes.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, so it was supposed to have the little Santa in here, and he would pop up and flip off the switch. So yeah, so it was like one of those do nothing boxes or whatever. But it stores stuff now because it was a bit of a failure. I still want to get back to it at some point, but yeah. So that was one of the designs I bought from you at one point, and then I know I have. I was looking at it today, the antler monogram set. So it was one of the groups of files that you can put the people's name in, great for weddings and stuff. And that's why I bought it, was for doing it for somebody's wedding. And so you put their name in the middle, and it has the established date, and it has some really cool antler design coming up around it, and all that good stuff. There's some very beautiful designs on there. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh yeah. I anybody that I knew that did any kind of crafting and cricketing and all that other stuff, I was like, you have to sign here. Sign up with that, because these things.
Well, that's so nice.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So I was, and when you announced the final sale, I was still telling them, I'm like, hey, remember I told you about board bed? You got to here if you want to go make a bunch of money with all the stuff. There you go.
Yeah, it's a really good deal, and because it's everything I've ever done, it's like basically every theme. It's not just like one theme. It's basically, I said, it's a business in a box, kind of, because you can keep busy with that stuff forever.
Oh yeah. And do you find that most of your customers are they cricket people, or what do they? Yeah.
Mostly cricket. I do have. Okay, so it's interesting how and I don't know how it has to do, because I've acquired most of my customers via Facebook ads, and I am friends with Casey from oh, now I totally. She has a podcast on SVG designing. Anyway, she has an Etsy shop where she also sells SVGs, and we were talking about. She did some presentations for me in the past with my teaching stuff, and she was noticing I have a little bit of a different demographic, where I do have more of the CNC, the laser people, things like that. And so I definitely have, I think, probably more than most SVG designers, but definitely it's mostly cricket. And I always say I design for cricket, and the only reason I even say that, I don't even own one myself. I only say that just because that's kind of the you can, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, I could be totally wrong, but it seems to me that you can do a little bit more of the detail with laser sometimes than you can do with cricket. And so that's just where I started. That's the stuff I tested for. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that has drawn in probably mostly the vinyl people, because that's what I was doing. So I can't really speak to doing the laser stuff because I've never had a laser myself.
It's fun.
No, I've been doing this for years, and I've come across your site several times as I'm looking for certain things.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
It translates really well.
Yes, it does. It really does. I can see. Actually, I'm looking at your beach.
Okay.
Actually, there's one in here for you, Ryan. It's beach hair. Don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to take care of that this week.
Yeah. It fits.
Well, that's funny. I actually have a customer here locally who does the CNC. I actually went to a fair, like a show, and I was like, that booth is full of my stuff.
Isn't that cool to see?
Cool. And so we've struck up a friendship, him and his wife, but they do a lot of, CNC and laser and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
So did they know that you lived in the same town and stuff, or? They
did not know, because I was very close-lipped about where I was moving to, and nobody really knew what town I was moving to, and so I was like, "Hey, I designed that," and they're like, "Whoa." It's really, really cool. I mean, it totally made.
So I'm Bethany. Hi, I designed everything at your booth. Thank you.
So Bethany, if somebody buys your package for $297, that does not give them the right for resale. Is that correct?
Not to resell digitally. Now, I am very open to that if somebody would like to buy my catalog for resale. I have a couple spots for that, but that's something that we could work out separately, because this is just a use license for small business. So it does include the business license or the commercial license, so anybody could make things and sell those things. So it includes the ability to sell anything you make with it, like physical items. but you would not be able to say put those designs on your website and sell them digitally. That would be a totally different license. So
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, they do. They do, Roger. They do V-card very nicely too.
yes, thank you.
It's,
That's good. I'm very careful about my designs. Like they go through so much testing, mainly because one of the biggest, I often have asked my customers, what's your biggest pet peeve when you're buying designs? Because I always want to make sure that I'm speaking to that. One of the biggest things is when they don't work right. They don't work the way they're supposed to. So we very rigorously test everything. You know, we check everything in Design Space, which is 99% of the problems is Cricut Design Space. So pretty much if it loads fine in there, then it's going to load fine anywhere.
there you go.
And so, yeah, I've worked really hard to make sure that they work properly. I find that sometimes I wonder if, well, I don't know if it has to do, or I don't know if you guys usually buy just kind of from general SVGs or if there's specific SVG sellers that, you know, focus on the laser and the CNC stuff. But I have found that there's a lot of designers out there who are wonderful, fabulous artists, but they maybe don't have the they don't really have the perspective of knowing how these machines work. And so they might design something that looks really, really amazing on paper, but it doesn't work right in when you're trying to cut it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the problems come out. And, you know, I've talked to people, they say, well, they, you know, these things, they look cool, but they just don't turn out right. They don't cut right. And so that was one of the things. It's always been very important to me to make sure I have something that's painless and easy for people to use. Because if you're going to pay money for this stuff, then you should be able to just use it right out of the box without having to fix it for an hour.
Well, and everybody knows that I'm cheap, so if I'm buying them, you know they're good.
That's awesome.
Inexpensive but good.
Yeah, yeah, they are wonderful designs. The one thing that, well, as far as in like CNC and laser people, there's we can use anything really, as long as like a big thing that people use are the scroll saw designs, because, you know, for lasering, because it just you need to have the same kind of cut and such like that with the scroll saw, except for you can do it a whole lot faster and with the laser than you can with the scroll saw. And then but I think in the real grand scheme of things, you know, you start just accumulating all the bits and having it all work together, you know. So like I like doing a lot of the laser work, and then, you know, CNC on top of that, or doing the vinyl stuff. I've got a little Cricut sitting back there behind the 3D printer, but it's having them all work together as separate tools, I think, is enjoyable. But they work, that's for sure.
Well, I would agree that having the multiple tools is really key to have a really good variety of products that you can sell. And not be like, a lot of people think of, oh, I have a Cricut business. And I'm like, don't say that. You don't have a Cricut business. You have a business, and you happen to have a Cricut as a piece of equipment that you use.
One of the tools,
you think of it as, it's a piece of equipment that I use to make a product. And then if you have multiple different equipments and you can do kind of a cohesive thing, I think that really bodes well.
Let's see here. What's Harry saying here? Harry says his mother-in-law has a CNC embroidery machine and does some nice stuff for the kids. Oh yeah, I bet you that is cool to watch.
What's a CNC embroidery machine? Because I've heard of CNC, but I've heard of embroidery, but how do they work together?
You could do names or designs depending upon how many needles are in theirs. Yeah.
Okay. So is it different from a regular embroidery machine then?
I don't think so.
Probably the same.
Okay.
I don't know anything about embroidery machines. They look neat when I see them move.
They do.
I don't want to go down.
They're CNC controlled.
I'm going down far too many rabbit holes. Far too many. Dave's trying to get me. So our buddy Dave, he's building a square drop trailer, and he's been trying to get me to go down that rabbit hole. And it's like, no, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I have a camper sitting right outside. I don't need one. but I find myself now watching all these videos on all these trailers that people are making. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. No, please don't go down that rabbit hole. No. Cool deal. So let's see here. Just checking the chat.
Circling the edge.
Oh yeah. Oof. Let's see here. Oh, anyway.
I'm sitting here looking at all these files. You have the nice thing is you have SVG, EPS, DXF, PNGs.
Yeah.
And those work with so many other machines. I mean, you can pull into the laser or the router
Well, I think most people.
It makes life easier when you have those choices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's important. The EPS, especially, I know, is one of the. I used to, well, the job that I had before I started this was I worked at a sign shop. And so we did a lot of the different things. There was embroidery and there was plotting and stuff like that. And he always wanted EPS. And I know that that's one of the most versatile ones. DXF is usually what Silhouette uses if people haven't upgraded their software. So.
And that's what I like using on my lasers, DXF. Okay. I always tend to lean toward that side. Yeah.
So how come? What's the difference?
It's just how everything flows. How when I bring it into Corral, it's just easy to maintain and manipulate and change things if I need to. You could probably do it the same with all of them. It's just, I guess, what I've followed or what I've done.
Oh. Our friend George has a question here for you, Bethany. Let's see. What do you focus on to start the retail side of bakery?
Well, so
taste
it's because this has been a dream of mine for a long, long time. And so about 13 years ago, I started kind of perfecting my recipes. So I've been perfecting the product for a long, long time, just knowing that I was someday going to do this. As far as the retail side of the bakery, it's the way that I started, and everybody does this differently, is we have really great cottage laws here. So I am able to bake out of my kitchen, and it has taken over my house already. It's been like 2 months. And then I go to the farmer's market on Saturday mornings, and then I sell everything that I made. And I am growing a mailing list and everything like that. And then I can do, pop-up events and just I sell them in person. I bring coolers full of cookies, and it's pretty cool. Once I have a commercial kitchen built out, I'm going to build it in my garage and kind of turn my garage into a little space for that. Once I do that, then I'm able to ship. I can actually ship within Missouri now if I wanted to. But once I do that, I can ship kind of all over the country. And focus the retail side that way. And then what I would love to do, it's funny, you were talking about trailers. I really want to have a little cookie trailer and like a drive-through. And then I'll find a permanent spot here in town and just kind of be there several days a week. Ideally, I would like to do that. And we'll see how it kind of evolves. I hope that answers your question, George. If it doesn't, please clarify. But yeah, as far as focusing on the retail, I just mainly do cookies. I'm also doing freeze-dried candy because I have a freeze dryer and it sells really well. But cookies are really kind of my thing. I have these they're like big gourmet cookies, and people.
So how is your snickerdoodle game?
My snickerdoodle game is awesome. The last person that they tell me it melts in your mouth. I've been having really great reviews on these, and everybody's just like, people will sit there and be like, you can't go wrong with any of them. But I've been doing some fun flavors. So like now that we're getting into the season, I get we just finished up strawberry season. Well, I bought strawberries from the gal next to me, and I took them home and sliced them up, and we freeze dried them, and then I turned them into strawberries and cream cookies, and they were a huge hit. And then we're starting peaches and cream next week. And so that would be pretty cool.
And you go customizing the cookies with the laser.
I could customize my cookies with a laser. That's a really good idea. You do like wedding cookies or something like that. What a great
Yeah.
idea.
There's a whole nother.
Hey.
Now you can
I don't.
do
I
all
did a
the-
pumpkin pie once, and it's interesting, but it kind of burns too in the process.
Well, that's what it's doing.
Well, that's yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's just extra.
But it was cool.
tasty. I bet that's
Yeah,
really
it is.
cool.
Let's see here. Coffee and cookies. I'm on board.
Yeah,
You know,
Raymond,
right?
that is coffee and cookies is totally my dream. It has been my dream for a long time. I've actually been waiting till my kids were old enough to really kind of be effective at helping me and not be in the way.
Yeah.
And that was part of that. But yeah, all I've wanted for years is like a little drive-through coffee and cookie stand. I don't want people coming in. I just want a drive-through that I can make cute with flower boxes and sell really great coffee and cookies. That's just what I wanted to do forever. So this is going to be fun, I think.
I have a friend locally. He does food trucks. He has a taco food truck, and they just started a freeze dried candy one, like a couple weeks ago. And I haven't been over there to try them yet, but I'm sure he'll take more of my money.
Try the skid. You do the Skittles, I'm assuming.
His tacos are great as it is. So I mean, now having the candy on top of it, and well.
Yeah, freeze dried candy is one of those things. And my dad was asking me the other day, he's like, well, it sells really well. Do you want to grow that part of your business? And I was like, here's the thing about freeze dried candy is there's no uniqueness to it. My freeze dried Skittles are the same exact as anybody else's freeze dried Skittles. So I'm not really, it does sell well, but I'm not really going to count on that as a big part of my business. So Raymond, am I going to have anything that is low sugar for diabetics? Yes, I don't know when though. It's okay. I have a very, very high standard for everything that I do. If I'm taking people's money for it, and that includes SVGs and that includes my cookies. And I have not been able to get a sugar-free cookie that meets my standards. I have not figured that out yet. I will at some point, I'm sure. Because I have enough people asking for both gluten-free and sugar-free. Gluten-free is a lot easier. I can do that. I haven't really started that yet because I don't really know the volume yet. I want to do maybe some pre-orders through my mailing list before I start actually bringing them to the market actively, because I think if I brought them to the market, there's no guarantee anybody would want them. Because I get a request maybe every other week or maybe one person a week who wants something gluten-free or sugar-free. So there's definitely a need for it, but I'm not quite there yet. But if I make a really, really amazing sugar-free cookie recipe, then I will plaster it all over the place, because that I think is a feat in and of itself.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm a cookie hound. My mother would, when I was a kid, she had this recipe for these things called forgotten cookies. And so she would make them like every winter. Well, yeah, she would make them every winter. But what you do is it's kind of like it's a meringue type of cookie. Here we are on a CNC and laser show, and we're talking about cookies. That's all right though. This is what we do. You don't get to be my size and not eat cookies. But anyway, so these forgotten cookies, they're it's like a white meringue type of thing. So what you do is you preheat the oven, and then you put the cookies in and turn them off, and you come back the next morning and they're cooked. And so you forget about them overnight. Is how they got their name. And they have like chocolate chips in them, and they're so good. But yeah, those are the top of the list. And then
remember those
snickerdoodles are right there.
Yeah, snickerdoodles.
But they're so good.
Yeah, they're super good. I actually started not selling them, and then the very first day I was there, I had multiple requests for them. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's the recipe I'm figuring out next.
Here
So
we go.
I figured that one out, and they've been selling really great ever since then. So,
Sweet.
but I have like 10 different kinds of cookies, and then plus any kind of seasonal. Like right now, I've got like a lemon blueberry cheesecake that's just phenomenal.
Nice.
But I will only have that for a couple more weeks. So
Personalizing their chocolate slabs. That is pretty cool.
that is very cool.
Yeah. So There's
So with the
a
CNC, that does a physical engrave. That's not like a laser where it burns it, right? Okay.
right. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
a
Okay.
subtractive manufacturer.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
What a
that's
great
pretty-
idea.
Yeah, it would just smell so good in that workshop.
Dangerously good, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back towards the SVGs and stuff like that. So what uh what's your favorite like genre of them that you've made?
Christmas. Like
Yeah, the
hands
Christmas
down.
ones.
I love doing Christmas designs. Love, love, love them. Part of it is also because of the nature of the industry where it's like super, super dead all summer. And then like right at the beginning of August, it really picks up like big
Yeah.
time. And it probably mirrors all of the other industries as well. But and I get a big search for fall, but Christmas is just like my favorite thing to design. And I think a lot of it is just that my vintage kind of style lends itself very well to Christmas
It
design.
does. Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't know. I think maybe because Christmas is my favorite holiday and I just really enjoy it myself, and so I love making the designs because it just, I don't know, it feels nice. I like doing them.
Yeah. I thinking about the site and all that. I think you have more Christmas ones than anything else. So,
Yeah. Well, part
Yeah.
of that is also driven by demand. Because like a lot of the time, so what I was doing was 5 times a year I would release new designs.
Mhm.
Right. So I would do it in like late January or February, and then again in March ish. And then like I would basically do like 3 before, and then I would do like my 4th one in August, and that's all the fall stuff. And then the 5th one was in October for all of the Christmas stuff. The first 3 of the year, it was always kind of a mixed bag. Because there's not really any kind of big holidays where there's major demand.
Right.
But like nobody wants anything other than Christmas in October. Like
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, other than maybe
Makes
like
sense.
personalizable stuff that you can give as gifts for Christmas and stuff like that. And of course, because I did love it. But yeah, a lot of it is demand driven. I have sold way more Christmas SVGs than basically anything else, even accounting for the fact that I make more of those. But I make more of those because they just have always sold really well. Followed closely by all the fall stuff, like Halloween and fall together is also pretty big.
You to do your designs and stuff like that. I think you use Adobe, right? Is that?
Yeah, I use Illustrator.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's really nice setup.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do use Corel too, but I don't really know that program very well. So
Yeah, there's so many options out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
You're
The fun part is I started with Adobe, and then I ended up going to Corel because of the laser.
oh,
But when
that
I
makes
worked for the casino, I used to do all the graphics and all the signs. And the Adobe would go hand in hand with the Photoshop and then also After Effects. But I'll tell you what, it's not easy going back. You click what again?
funny.
Are you using a commercial mixer to batch out your cookies yet, or are you still doing?
No, I did buy a separate. So I have a KitchenAid, and I'm assuming you guys have all seen KitchenAids, but
Mhm.
for years I thought that my KitchenAid is the perfect shape to be hand painted to look like the alien xenomorph from the Alien movie. The shape just was always so perfect for me. So a couple years ago, my friend Christina, she painted it for me to look like the alien xenomorph, and it's one of my prized possessions. So I started off with just my little KitchenAid. It was like the smallest one that they have, and it has always been fine for me. But I was like, if I burn this thing out, I will die. Like I would just be heartbroken. So I did recently buy like a 9.5 quart mixer, but it's not like a commercial one or anything like that. I do have a commercial cookie oven, a small one, like a Otis Spunkmeyer oven that I use in combination with my regular oven. Once I get a kitchen built out in my garage, I will
Garage built out, yeah.
one.
You'll be able to use the garage too. Then you'll be able to use the house for a to be listed as a commissary for your for the trailer.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
usually.
That's kind of my plan, because I need to have a separate kitchen anyway. It's taken over my house already, and it's miserable. And you know how like when stuff is cluttered because you're taking over it with like a project, it makes everything else like become more messy too. Because if it's clean, then it stays clean, but if it's cluttery, then it gets more cluttered.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I need to have a separate. But here in Missouri, it's actually not too difficult to get commercial kitchen. I just have to get like a 3-compartment sink and a few other things. So it wouldn't be that hard for me to build out the space in order to be able to be approved as a commercial kitchen. And yes, once I do that, if I plan things right, then I can use it as a commissary for the cookie trailer. And then at some point, if I outgrow that, then maybe I could just build myself a little small drive-through. But I don't think I'd ever really want like a cafe where people come in and sit down. But it would be nice to have like a permanent drive-through. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see where it goes for us. So.
Yeah, there's the other thing, sidebar on that, is that you can also then be a commissary for other food trucks. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
And then you can make a little extra money from that too.
Yeah. If I build it big enough to actually have space.
Yeah. Well, most of them do it themselves anyway, but you know, the official commissary is
Right.
your place. Anyway. Working it out. Let's see here. Do you how's the sales been live for what, 2 days now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how's it going so far?
It's going really well. It's going better than I was kind of expecting.
Awesome.
So that's really, really great. And you know, I've had a lot of engagement, tons of interactions. You know, people are like, I'm gonna miss you, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and you know, I hope that I'll see you around, and you know, I hope you keep us updated on what's going on and stuff like that. But yeah, the sales been going really well, and everybody's just been like super happy. We went through everything. One of the things about a Cricut Design Space is that they update constantly.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time what happens when they do updates is it breaks how the SVGs work. So like I'll have a SVG that loads in Cricut Design Space just fine, and then they'll do an update and then it doesn't load okay anymore. And I often don't know when that happens unless somebody tells me. And so we went through every single design, took weeks to do it. I had my VA go through everything, reload everything on Design Space. To make sure they still work, and they didn't all still work. And so I had to fix some corrupted files and stuff like that, things that didn't load right in that particular program. And so there was a lot of preparation. I was like, okay, well, I hope that the sale does really well, but it has done really well, and everybody has been really, really happy. You know, I've talked to some people already who they're just like, I've just gone through stuff and it's all just like really, really great. So it makes me happy to hear that. One of the things that's kind of sad, it's like, you know, you understand leaving a legacy. And I've worked so hard on this for a really long time. And now I'm in a position where I'm walking away. And I've kind of been forced into it, but it's not necessarily a sad thing because I'm excited to move on to something that I'm really passionate about as well. But it's hard to walk away for something that you've poured your whole life into and just like, okay, well, now I'm done. And so I won't lie, I get a lot of satisfaction out of knowing that, okay, all these people now have all my designs and they're going to be able to really do some really cool, amazing things with them for a really long time. Because it's a lot of designs to go through, you know. It's not the same for me when it's like somebody who buys a couple designs. For somebody to buy my entire catalog and the whole entire library and everything I've ever made, I'm like, that feels like a legacy to me, and it's really, really cool. So it's been a fun couple days around here since the first day, and I was like, oh wow, people are really, really buying this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And now, in all honesty, I've bought many bundles of files, be it like this or puzzles, and for the price, I've paid more for less. So this is pretty good. This is actually a really good deal.
Well, I wanted to make it. So I have a lot of customers who have bought a lot of my designs already, and I knew that I wanted to have this priced really, really low so that even if they have already bought like half of my designs, they would still feel like it was a good deal for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one. And okay, so anybody who hadn't bought half of my designs already, well, then they would just like get a bonus, right? That would just be extra cool for them. But that was one of the reasons why I priced it the way I did.
Well, and
For that.
if you
It's
bought
more
each
about
individual one, it's over $4,000. I mean,
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
I-
Well, a
it's
lot of it is about I just want to get my designs in people's hands because
Yeah.
I'm leaving and I want it to be used. You know what I mean? I've worked a lot of hours and I worked really, really hard on all this for years, and I just want to get these designs in as many people's hands as I can. So
Yeah, and I think when people go look at what you've done, you can definitely see your design language throughout the different ones that are out there. You can definitely see your fingerprints on it, and I got to get over there and get mine ordered. So it's what like it's. I think you said in the email it's like over a gig and a half of
it's almost 2 gigs. It's like 1.72.
yeah, it's massive.
That's
Yeah.
Absolutely
It's a lot.
massive. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Very good. Oh. Well, Bethany, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. I hope everybody learned a little bit, and
Yeah, sure.
if nothing else, got good cookie talk out of it.
I
some good
appreciate the invite.
inspiration.
Yeah. I like talking about cookies too.
So, just to let you know, after I shut this thing off, stick around for a minute, okay?
Okay.
And because we'll be able to wrap up on the back end here after the live is over here. If anybody else have any questions for Bethany or any thoughts or anything, you guys are good. Pretty good.
Guys, for projects, this is awesome. Can you imagine how many magnets you can come up with all this? You make every dime back.
Oh,
You cover your whole house.
As you can see, I have magnets plastered everywhere.
We didn't show Paul's.
And they're good.
That's thanks, Keith.
Oh no!
Oh, we can show it. We can show it next week, Ryan.
Well, all right. We'll show it next week. Paul made his planner, and it's really cool looking. So, Harry, yes, I will. I didn't think forward enough to take screenshots of some of the designs and all that. So I'll try to do that and show you guys some of the other stuff on that. Next week will be right at the end of the sale. So yeah, we'll make sure that we get that done.
Sean put the link out there a couple times.
Yeah.
So,
if nothing else, go. And the web address is right down there at the bottom. It's boardbattendesign.com, and you can check all of her stuff out. It's really, even if you don't get the whole bundle, the 50% off using any individual SVGs is massive too, and they're all really reasonably priced. I mean, most of them, some of them go from like $3 on up. So it's for some of the different designs. So I've bought pretty much the gamut from Bethany throughout the years, and you won't be disappointed, that's for sure. Before we go, Raymond is asking if you have a cookie website yet.
It's not active yet, but you can go visit. It's acorncottagebakery.com.
There you go.
And I'm on Facebook, but I haven't finished the website yet. I've been focusing on the board and batten stuff, getting that wrapped up before I finish the website. But I have so many people asking me about it that I'm really going to try and get it finished up before the sale is over.
Can people still sign up for the board and batten newsletter at the moment?
Yeah, you can.
You'll send out a final one saying, here's the cookie stuff on there.
Yeah.
So go sign up, and you'll get one of Bethany's wonderful emails.
Yeah, you'll get my intro email, and then you'll get my goodbye email.
And then you get the cookie one, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny how many people are like, we want to go along with you on that, and I'm like, okay, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
It's the snickerdoodles. Yes, yeah,
Oh,
Keith,
yeah,
you and I are
well-
going to fight over those, pal. I'll bring some down to you when I go down to South Carolina.
I can make plenty.
Crumbs.
I just have to, get that commercial kitchen so I can ship them.
Yeah.
Well, some people had told me that I need to use my bundle to fundraise for a commercial kitchen. So I was like, I guess we'll see how I can figure out. Maybe I can partner with somebody to, do all the legwork of running ads to the bundle or something like that, just to see if that's profitable. Because then I could just set that money aside for the commercial kitchen, which will cost 10 or 15 grand. So,
Oh, yeah.
um,
Most definitely.
but yeah, we'll see.
Great.
But yeah, once I get that set, I'm really, really excited because it's funny because in Washington, I spent years getting people addicted to my cookies, thinking I was going to open one there, and then I moved
Nice.
here
You
and
should.
opened it up almost right away. But whatever.
Good deal. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, again, Bethany, thank you so much for coming on and talking to everybody. I appreciate it. I hope everybody learned a little bit and goes and gets the best value on the internet for SVGs. It really
beat
is
the price.
any subject that you could want. Bethany has them on there pretty much. I mean, it's pretty good. And Sean, you got anything before we roll out?
Unless I missed something.
All right, good.
Everyone have a good evening.
All right.
Paul, you're good too, sir?
I'm good.
All right. And Bethany, you got anything else you wanted to?
No, I'm good. Thank you,
All right.
gentlemen. This was fun.
Oh, I'm glad that you had a good time. And here's a question on it. Wade snuck right in there. Does the package include the retired farmhouse collection?
Yes, the farmhouse collection and the sign makers bundle. Literally everything that I've ever made. The only exception
Nice.
is there have been designs that I have to personalize on my end because it involves a lot of curving fonts and changing things depending on the last name or whatever. Those obviously I can't because I have to do those individually myself. But everything that somebody could possibly use that I've ever made, it is in this bundle.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. All right, party people. Well, have a good weekend. Thank you very much for joining us this week. And the next time, I guess we'll continue making it up as we go. So
You know what? I do have one more thing to toss in.
Now you do.
If you're interested in N-scale trains, go to www.klondike.com and you can see my modules there.
You got it.
Had to.
All right. Hey,
Have a good night.
That's what it's there for, buddy. All right. Well, you guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.